How's it going, animal people, critter family? Hope you all are doing well. Today we are going over Saro Dog Training. I've heard his name come up a few times before, and somebody sent me a link and suggested that I take a look at this, as he has a bit of a different method of working with dogs. So he, as far as I know, doesn't use, like corrections in like any corrective collars. He also doesn't use treats a lot. I think he does promote a lot about play and praise as he trains. So, seems like a nice guy. Well, he seems like he definitely enjoys his dogs, and he cares about their well-being. So we're going to take a look at Mr. Saro. If you want to subscribe to him, this is his channel, Saro Dog Training. Exhaust your dog in under 5 minutes, both mentally and physically, which I do like. I do appreciate that he does say mentally and physically, because a lot of people just run their dog forever, or they throw the ball a million times, and which is great. Some dogs do need a lot of exercise just to get that energy out, because that's how they're made. They're athletes. I certainly am not. I'm built like a little couch potato dog, very much like a Shiba. I'm not a marathon runner, but some dogs are. But at the same time, we also want to work their little brains out. Work out their brains, work them out mentally. So we're going to see how he tires the dog out in under 5 minutes. So using this video, as with every other video, under the Fair Use Act for education, criticism, giving my point of view on what I see, and just basically commenting on what Mr. Saro has to say here.
About how do I exercise my dog to be exhausted in short time. So I want to show you how I would do it, how you get your dog exhausted in few minutes. I'm going to try to exhaust my dog within 5 minutes, under 5 minutes.
I love how in just that scene, we'll go back, how when his dog was really, really focused on that, when his little dog was really focused on the ball, that he didn't correct the dog. It was staring at the little ball right here, and just like really excited, ready to go for it. And he just picked it up, and the dog kind of went for it, but he's not correcting the dog at all. He just picks it up like, okay, cool. So I appreciate that. Notice the little things.
Under 5 minutes. I use play and praise to exercise my dog. So
how
here we
cute.
go. So
look at that
one of
little
the
guy.
first things that I do, I start with stimulating my dog's brain. So I ask her to sit and stay, and then I play with her the game that she likes. You can play this game in your living room. You can play this game in your backyard, wherever it is.
I think it's also important that he states the game that she likes. You find a game that your dog likes. If your dog doesn't necessarily like fetch, maybe just throwing a bunch of balls and they just get to go run after them, or using a flirt pole, which is basically just, you can make your own. It's like a stick. Sometimes they're PVC pipes, very small, and it has a rope at the end, and sometimes there's something like flappy, like some felt, or rope, or a little furry thing, little fuzzy toy or something. So those are really great games that you can also play with your dog.
As long as you have some form of control over your dog. I'll give you
She's
some
so
more
cute.
in-depth details after we play for a few minutes. So basically, I focus on providing more mental than physical stimulation.
Very good.
A mix.
She is just super focused on that ball. Definitely looks like she has a very high prey drive. Whether that's been instinctively in her, I don't know if she has Catahoula in her or not, but she definitely looks like a mixed breed, or I could be wrong. But beautiful eyes, very sweet dog, very much just staring at that ball and super focused, which is really good mental stimulation for her. And he's just sitting here, talking. She's focused on the ball. He's just kind of dawdling around, and he's talking about he wants to work out her brain mentally more so in the beginning of this.
Of both physical and mental stimulation here.
She's
this
so
is the
cute.
mental stimulation that the dog waits for the action.
That's very good.
So
he has really good control over his dog. She wants the ball. She wants the ball to be thrown. I have no doubt he has great control of his dog, that if he were to tell her to stay, or whatever word he uses, and he were to toss it chuck it with his little chuck it thing, it seems like their relationship is so good that, that she is, I feel like there's no doubt that she would stay there until released.
Make it to wait or stay, the more mental stimulation it gets.
Absolutely.
It's not that you want your dog to run the whole time. You want your dog to be stimulated both physically and mentally.
Good.
70% mentally, 30% physically.
I can appreciate that. And maybe for some dogs, it's more 50-50, 60-40, whatever works for your dog. But you want to make sure that you do give them breaks in between. Those little doggy treadmills that they have out there where it is simply propelled by the dog running. These dogs are just going at it and being crazy little doggies. But the people have them run for no more than a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes at a time, and then they have them wait and take a break so they don't hurt themselves, from overrunning. They don't pull a muscle. They don't twist and turn and hurt a ligament, or they're just so out of breath that they collapse. Like some dogs can seriously hurt themselves from doing that. So I think that's very good, and I think it's also really good to continue to build that drive that your dog really wants to use play as a great reward. If you have a dog that really enjoys chasing a ball, and that's like their best friend. Not every dog is like that, but I believe you probably can build that drive in them. But it's whatever each dog enjoys. Like for Adonis, if it weren't food, then squeakers. Like the squeaker itself was his favorite thing in the world. He would take it, and I would just got a bag of just extra squeakers for like $10, and there was like 20 of them in there. And so over the course of for him a couple of months, I would just take one out and just squeak it and just toss it. He would go and get it. He would start trying to chew on it, because he had a super mouth. Shebas, people who have dogs like that, who know, they manipulate the little tiny parts of the squeaker, and they use the little feet like hands. They pull out the squeaker and kill it, and that's it. So before he got that, then I would pick it up, squeak it, and toss it again. So that was his version of a ball. He just loved the little plastic squeakers. Of course, be careful if you do have a dog that ingests items. Balls might be more appropriate for them, but to each their own. So that was Adonis's favorite thing. And it was like crack for him, like a cat, who's playing with like a little hair tie, and they're like tossing it in the air. That was him. But I'm sorry, I don't even know where I was going with this, but man, I love thinking about him when he was just a little crazy boy. If you ever had, older dogs, it's really nice to, think back when they were being crazy little young ones. But I think this is great, working on having more of that mental stimulation, more of that great control, which can translate to other things. So say, just for example, this dog happened to be reactive. You can use this ball and this toy as a great way to practice this dog's self-control when there are other dogs nearby, or if there's other people nearby. And over time, you can use the focus they have on the ball to yourself, where they look at you when another dog is walking by, and they're able to move on. And for me, if I'm working with self-control and reactive dogs, I want them to be able to look at the other dog and not just be so focused on me. You have to be careful when you're doing that you have to be so. You don't want the dog to be so focused on you they have blinders on. They don't even know the other dog is there, because a lot of times that can happen, and the dog never really gets over that because they're not taking in new information. They don't realize the other dog is there. They never build that confidence around them. So sorry I went on a little tangent, but either way, I think that's great.
Pretend that we are in a small environment in a living room.
She's so cute.
I'm just playing with my dog and stimulating my dog at the same time.
Absolutely. And very important that he is also training with them. Anytime you interact with your dog, you are training them, whether you realize it or not. Even something as simple as, making sure you take 20 extra seconds to make sure that they don't go for the ball, or they don't jump for the ball when you pick it up, that they stay sitting or down when you lift up with the ball, or they don't jump when you're about to throw it. That's training.
Down, stay. So again, the more stay there is, the command, the more mental stimulation that you're using.
Also really good that he's able to talk. It seems like he talks with his hands. I do as well, and clearly with the mouse, but I talk with my hands a lot, so that's great that he's able to talk using the ball and move it and the chuck it stick around, and the dog is not getting up. He's desensitizing the dog, also increasing their self-control. So that's great. Love it.
the better it gets. Now, you can use any
He
game
bounces it.
that
That's
your
great.
dog likes, and you can incorporate.
And see, he's not using an e-collar. He's not using a shock collar. He's not using a prong collar. There's no hanging prong collar on this dog, or no leash or anything. So what are these other trainers' excuses? What is Tom Davis's excuse? What is Joel Beckman's excuse? You know, he has a dog that clearly has a very high drive for this ball, and yet she's comfortably waiting there. He said stay once. He's not screaming at her. He's able to toss the ball, play. He's talking to you. Like, what are these other trainers' excuse?
These commands of stay or lie down or go get it.
Good job, baby.
Release in that game.
And yes, she's focused on the ball. She's not necessarily focused on him. And he clearly doesn't care because she's still focused on him. She's listening to him. She didn't try to break, and I'm sure if she did, I don't think he would have that big of a deal about it. He would just reset her. He's not continuously, just staring at her, and he's not focused on her constantly looking at him. He doesn't, act like these trainers who think they're God, that like Joel Beckman, how dare you leave me? Like you gotta, all these other trainers that just, the dog has to constantly focus on the human. I mean, like, if you're in competition, you want that eye contact, or you just personally want eye contact, okay, great, like, good for you, that's fine too. But understand that it's not the end of the deal, like, it's not the end of the world. For me, I didn't care if Adonis looked me in the eyes a lot. If he was ahead of me and his ears went back, I knew he was listening to me. I wasn't a big eye contact person. And I still am not, I mean, especially not with dogs, it's not natural. But, could I have taught more eye contact? Sure. Will I with my next dog? Yeah, maybe. I mean, it depends. It's not my priority, is what I'll say. Eye contact is not personally my priority when I know the dog is still listening to me. If I knew that they were just blowing me off, or they were showing that they weren't, in tune with me, no ears, or they weren't responding at all, then I would say, okay, let's work on a little bit more eye contact, or some other, physical or tactile cue, so I know that that's your cue to me, that you are listening to me, and I'm, you're able to listen to me, you're not so distracted by everything else. With Adonis, that was his little ear going back. I mean, I could, like, whisper, or I could just, stop walking or trip, and his little ear would go back. And then if I stopped, he would feel the tension on the leash, because I would stop moving forward, and he would look back and be like, hey, what's going on?
But
so again, that's just me.
the more
She's so stinking cute.
The mental stimulation, the better it is. I do provide physical activity as well.
Absolutely.
Because I want her to get some physical activity as well.
Oh my
You can
goodness.
use the space that you have as much as you can, as
Absolutely.
much as possible.
So he's not relying on having a big field for her to run in. I'm sure she would love that. Maybe you could do that, like, I don't know, if you can find, go to a park that's like, allows you to have an off-leash dog and all that, or you can go to Sniff Spot, which is something really cool. It's like an app where you can go and basically rent out somebody's yard for a period of time. It's like, I don't know, anywhere from $4 to $10, I think, for like 30 minutes or an hour. And they make sure everybody's vaccinated, everybody's safe, and you can go there for like a little yard for your own personal dog, rent it out, and it's a great place to be able to let your dog run and all that. So obviously not sponsored, but since I discovered it, I think it's genius. So he's telling you don't need to have a big yard or acreage to tire your dog out. By adding the in between the throws, not just continuous throws, adding in that good self-control, that mental stimulation, that focus, a couple of, stays in there, and have them wait even upwards of 2 minutes, and then a couple of throws. That's really good stimulation for the dog.
These are just freebies, just going and getting it.
Oh, cutie.
Any place.
And see, she wanted to protect it, not in a resource guarding way. She just says, hey, like, a lot of dogs will do the fake out, where they want to, like, grab it, but they want you to have it, but they don't. And so he just waited. He didn't get mad at her. And I told her, I believe he said place, so maybe that's her cue to go to his side.
Nope. Sit. stay, down, stay.
So when he said sit, she didn't. He just repeats the cue. She does sit down. He's not yelling at her. He's not saying no. He's not giving her a shock collar or an e-collar correction or any collar correction. He repeats the cue, moves his body a little bit, and she sits down. And then he says stay. And then when I think he meant to say down, which, but then he caught it and he said down and stay, and she's good. Not a big deal. He doesn't make a big deal out of it.
So again, the purpose of the activity is more of mental.
See, she's focusing on him. Good girl. She's really focused on him. Oh, so that was a cool little thing. He didn't catch it, which maybe he did or not. It's fine. His arm went down and she kind of went to go jump, but then she didn't. That's terrific. Even if she had gone and gotten it, I don't think he really would have cared. I think he probably would have just had her drop it. He would have reset. From the little bit that I've seen of his channel, just reset and good to go again. Not the end of the world.
Which is in this case, let's say stay. And the longer the stay, the better, because
absolutely
we're
he's talking, walking around her. When he gets closer, she's focusing on him, waiting for him to give her that golden word that says, I can go get my ball.
Stimulation 2, we're teaching our dog, for example, to stay longer, to learn to practice the stay command longer. And 3, we're teaching our dog that the human has the control of the game itself.
And she has given a couple of lip licks. In this case, though, because I always point out the lip licks, it doesn't seem to be from anxiety. I mean, it could be that she's just stimulated, but she's panting. She's been running around, having a good time. She has that floppy tongue. But this is from, this would be like the good version of the wet saddle blanket, like I always compare it to. She's not wet, she doesn't have a floppy tongue and she's foaming at the mouth and whatnot because she's scared and stressed. She's just tired because she's been running around. She's excited. So that lip lick there was just, she's just, swallowing her own saliva. She's just, wetting her lips, or re-wetting her tongue.
Right? So, Annie, go get it.
Oh, good girl.
Then you release and some.
She's so cute.
Just for fun.
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make it a short space game that we're playing.
Good, very good.
As you can see, just basically playing soccer with my dog.
Absolutely, I love it.
Call it playing football. Playing football with my dog. Now, again, you can play any game that your dog likes. Doesn't have to be fetch game, doesn't have to be ball game.
Absolutely.
Any game that your dog likes, you can.
I mean, some people, they use like a little RC car or a little battery remote car, and they just kind of drag something around. The dog goes after it, or the dog tries to destroy the car. If you can go that route. Just make sure that if you do have kids, or you go buy a lot of kids that have cars like that, make sure your dog doesn't go destroy them. All the better to have a great recall on your dog, or really practice self-control.
Play with your dog.
So
and
cute.
Include all those good practices in the game itself.
Absolutely, because you're training, but you're making it fun.
Honey down, stay, honey heel.
Oh, good girl.
Honey down.
And see, he's not super focused on her being on a tight heel or this or that. I mean, this is beautiful. This is what I wish we had more of.
Stay. So there I included heel and down and stay. Any heel?
And he has the ball with him, but she's, it's not in her face like people would say. Everybody says that positive reinforcement trainers are people who don't use force. Just bribe their dog or this, that. I've never seen more bribery than on Tom Davis's channel, where he literally fakes the dog out with food in his hand. He puts it in their face, puts it in their face, puts it in their face, takes it away, and the dog doesn't even get any of it. That is bribery. That is just a cheat. This is not bribery. The dog is going because they know that they get rewarded. They have paired, hey, when I do this for dad, I get a ball thrown. They have a relationship. It's not force.
And as you can see,
he's not focused about the dog being right behind him. The dog is a little bit further away. He's fine with that. Clearly, he doesn't want the dog, or he doesn't care, at least from what I see, that the dog is right next to him. I mean, this is beautiful.
Visually, she's already exhausted, right? And we've been doing this for a few minutes, right? And I'm gonna end the session with some just freebies, just for fun.
Good. So he starts it nice and fun for the dog, just some freebies. We do a little bit of training here and there in between, work on some self-control, work on some regular obedience cues. You know, the pre-Mac principle, you eat your vegetables, you get your dessert for the, you do something for me, dog, something that doesn't make sense to you, I do something for you. So you do some, I mean, she still clearly seems happy to do it, that she's doing, the cue, the heel, the down, the stay, and all that, because she has paired it with, I do this for you, and then I get something fun out of it. She's not doing it because she's forced to, because all those forced trainers that try to call themselves balanced, even though they're not, try to say that, oh, my dog shouldn't do it. My dog should do it because I told them to. Because, because they just need to listen to me because they have to. That's just nonsense. Those are just spoiled, entitled people. So cute.
And if you want, you can finish the session
just by,
just having a good, fun fetch game or whatever.
I love it.
Your dog likes.
I love it. If I have, if my next dog is really into like play, or maybe I can even build that up in them. If they have a drive for a ball, or if maybe I can use a flirt pole or something, I definitely want to incorporate that more into my training. Because it's great, I like to use this as a way to fade away from the treats, because you do want to fade away from that, but you still want to have some kind of reward. For Adonis, a lot of times I used just sniffing as his main reward. I mean, I didn't really do a lot of like training for him anyway. He was just, he lived the life of a trainer, so he was fine. He wasn't perfect by any means. I'm not saying he's perfect. I never wanted him to be perfect. I still messed up a whole lot with him. I really screwed him up, and it started out with me going to stupid-ass trainers who didn't know what the hell they were doing, who taught me really bad lessons, and I, therefore, taught Adonis bad lessons. But, we learn. We live, and we learn, and we move on. We try to be better.
So, just for fun, I'm sure it's been under 5 minutes, and she's done. I mean...
Look at that little tail.
Look at her. Honey, down, stay.
Okay, so there was a cut there. Maybe she needed to go get some water. I don't think, from what I've seen here, I always worry about cuts, right? But from what I've seen here, I don't think it was that he corrected her or anything like that. Maybe she needed to go potty. Maybe she went and got some water off camera.
Isn't that a face of a dog? So, that's how
and that is a floppy tongue, a wet saddle blanket of a dog who's got some good exercise. Referring to a horse that is either put in a round pen and chased for 15 minutes and whipped and chased and run, and they get all sweaty, versus going for a 2 or 3 mile just walk, trail ride, working with someone, and they get sweaty that way.
It is to exhaust your dog. So now she's ready to go have a good nap. She's ready to go to have a good rest for the rest of the day almost.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I focused on stimulating her both physically and mentally, not just physically. You don't want to just exhaust your dog physically.
Exactly.
Or you just don't want to just do mental stimulation, just training.
Agreed.
I suggest you to do both mentally and physically.
And it's also, it can be hard on their bodies physically if you just run them all the time. If you have a dog that, just running, especially on hard concrete, this seems like it's padded flooring, so it's a little easier on their joints. You can put your dog, if they like the water, put them in the water, let them do a little bit of swimming, but also supervise. We don't want them to be so tired they end up drowning or hurting themselves. Just be aware of when you are running your dog that the way they're built. If they do too much twisting and turning or jumping, it can injure their leg. So I think this is a great little video. I definitely think that, I support, at least from what I've seen. So if you want to go check out more of Saro Dog Training, more of his channel, then I'd recommend him from what I've seen. I mean, I think this is just a great little message.
Train your dog at the same time as you do physical activities with your dog, and you get better results. It's more effective, it's much more healthier in a way of training and teaching and stimulating and practicing. And
see, like, I don't know if he put her in a downstay or not, she got up, he didn't really care. So I think this is great. You know, definitely, if you want to go check him out, you know, like I said, then please do, you know, support him, all that good stuff. I think this is a great change to a lot of the reviews that I've covered. So I think he's doing a good job from what I've seen, and I'm sure I will be reviewing more of his videos in the future. If anybody has any you know, specific videos from him that they would like me to look at, I would be happy to do so. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Saro, for this wonderful video for training your doggy, even though he does not know I exist. I love to see it, and I think it's a great message. Be sure to go give your little critters some kind of loving that they enjoy. Say howdy do for me, and until next time, practice some positivity.